Setup warrior here. I think it's time that we're going to pay homage to 2 anniversaries, but I'm going to have to do 2 separate videos to do that. You're probably wondering what this one's about. If those names don't give you a clue, it's an indication that it was the Benghazi terrorist attack that happened in 2012. There are some serious questions about this whole situation with Benghazi, and I'm going to tackle it the best way I can. First, I'm going to present to you the official statement, the official narrative, and then we're going to tackle bits and pieces that just did not make sense at all. One thing you have to remember, 4 men died, and there are serious questions why their lives were taken by careless decisions and careless actions. So let's get to it. Basically, the 2012 Benghazi attack was a coordinated attack against 2 United States government facilities in Benghazi. The responsible party was the Ansar al-Sharia. On the evening of September 11th, 2012, 11 years after the anniversary of 9/11, at 9:40 p.m., members of the Ansar al-Sharia attacked the American diplomatic compound in Benghazi, resulting in the deaths of U.S. Ambassador to Libya, J. Christopher Stevens, and U.S. Foreign Service Information Management Officer Sean Smith. Stevens was the first ambassador that was killed in the line of duty since 1979. Around 4 a.m. on September the 12th, the group launched a mortar attack against the CIA annex approximately 1 mile away, killing CIA contractors Tyrone S. Woods and Glenn Doherty, and wounding 10 others. At behest of the CIA, top U.S. officials initially described the attacks as a result of a spontaneous protest triggered by a recent released video. The attacks were coordinated and blamed on a video that was called Innocence of the Muslims. Now, this so-called video was depicting the Muslim faith in a comedic light. And according to the current administration at that time, this video was to blame. However, that's not what this is about. I'm about to pick this whole entire narrative apart and show you what really happened. This is compliments of PolitiFact. Why was Christopher Stevens, who requested security increases around the embassy in Benghazi, denied? That's the first thing we're going to investigate. Compliments of the Washington Post. The ambassador wired request 500 or 600 times. Okay, this is a pretty bad situation. I'm about to show you something else. Look at Benghazi, our ambassador. He wired her 500 or 600 times asking for help. This came out back on Sunday, December 13th, 2015.
She was Secretary of State. Obama was president. The team,
right.
Two real geniuses. Two real geniuses. Look at Libya. Look at Benghazi, our ambassador. He wired her 500 or 600 times asking for help. She'll take her friend's call every time.
Ambassador Stevens sent help, requesting for more security, more assurances, more protection. Wait a minute. Why is he standing here next to Hillary? Makes you wonder, don't it? One thing that comes up is the fact that Malafi's in office. The last Hillary Clinton email dump includes one that gives away the location of U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens, who was murdered by terrorists in Benghazi. Is it truly possible that Hillary may actually, by her careless actions with the emails, be responsible for his death? In even one of the last congressional hearings about the Benghazi incident, Hillary Clinton even pins responsibility on Christopher Stevens himself. Why? Makes you wonder what the heck the real motive was for why he died. But here's the problem with this narrative. This is the tale that she spins. Former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton brushed aside emails Thursday that showed she privately told family and world leaders that the 2012 attack on the U.S. diplomatic post Benghazi was a terrorist assault, and even said that Ambassador Christopher Stevens was responsible for his own decisions regarding skimpy security ahead of his death. How are you going to blame a man that even asked you for help? When she testified in front of the House Select Committee on Benghazi, a composed and controlled Mrs. Clinton said she was involved in the big decisions deploying Stevens to Libya and pressuring President Obama to lead a war effort that ousted Muammar Gaddafi. But she deflected responsibility for much of what went wrong, saying the ambassador's request for more protection, which was denied, were handled at levels beneath her. You're the Secretary of State. You have the authority. You are the number 3 in command, right below the president. Those could have been handled in your direction, your demeanor. Why did it not happen? Let's dig a little bit. There's a couple theories going around, and I'm tending to look into them. Let me make it clear. I'm not putting blame on an individual, okay? I want to make that clear right now. What I am trying to find out is the truth. Somewhere between one side of the story and the other. In the middle is the truth. Eventually it comes out. What this article is trying to put out, and I will use another source to verify what in God's green earth is really going on with this situation. This article puts out a theory that Christopher Stevens may have possibly, according to a book that came out here some time back, Christopher Stevens may have engaged in gun running. You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, this is not the only publication / media source that is saying this. WND is not the only one saying this. Listen to what Michael Savage is saying.
She cannot be moved. And I would ask you today, if you've watched the hearings, I'll give you my opinion, because I've given it already. Here's the question for you. Do you think Hillary looks better or worse today? Do you think Hillary is winning or losing today? Because that's all that matters. The truth doesn't matter. The truth is gone. The truth is dead with Ambassador Stevens. We know what she did. We know that she paid no attention to him and the Marines or guarding him. We know that he was whacked because he was moving weapons from Libya, meaning Gaddafi's stockpile, to Syria to give to the anti-Assad forces. That's not well documented, but it's documented well enough for people to conclude that that's exactly why Stevens was let to die.
That's a striking revelation, ladies and gentlemen. But it gets worse. Hold on.
From Tripoli, Libya to Benghazi to help American citizens under fire at the consulate there, but were ordered by superiors not to go. That's what Gregory Hicks, chief of mission in Libya at the time, told House Republican investigators.
This plane was being loaded. It was between the first attack that killed 2 and the second attack that killed 2 more. They may not have arrived in time to save lives, but at the time the decision was made, the decision was wrong.
Who made that decision?
We want to find out who made this decision.
The Pentagon has not yet responded to Hicks' claim. House GOP Chairman Darrell Issa calls Hicks a Benghazi whistleblower, saying Hicks will testify this week that he believes the Pentagon made a mistake by not scrambling F-15s to fly over, arguing it would have scared the attackers and might very well have prevented some of the bad things that happened that night, Hicks told GOP investigators. Earlier this year, Hillary Clinton snapped at Republicans for dwelling on questions about what sparked the attack. The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make? Hicks told investigators it made a big difference because UN Ambassador Susan Rice called it a demonstration on television minutes after Libya's leader called it an attack, offending Libya and making it harder for the FBI to investigate. Like Hicks' testimony that it is simply his opinion.
Weeks later, in New York, the president of Libya was still upset about being essentially called out as either misinformed or lying on national TV here in the U.S. So I think it suffice to say it had an effect on our diplomatic relations.
The committee's top Democrat argues they were iced out of the investigation, calling it a, quote, partisan report with reckless and false accusations. How do you answer the charge that what you're doing is partisan?
Well, I think that changing the talking points from the truth to an untruth is certainly partisan and likely for political reasons. But I think the better question is, why are the Democrats not just as upset that we didn't do all we could do to save American lives?
Then how come hours before the attack, the CIA officer that was in charge of Benghazi told special operators to stand down? A lot of red flags here, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of red flags. We may never know the truth about the Benghazi 4, let alone what happened that night. Some are saying he was murdered. Others saying he just died of smoke inhalation. There were stand-down orders. There were requests for more assistance and military support. Was denied. Were there questions about Mr. Stevens and what he was doing besides just being an ambassador? Don't know. One thing is for certain. Whatever happens, we cannot forget these four died on the 11th anniversary of 9/11. In a couple of days, I will do an actual 9/11 video. We cannot forget the Benghazi Four. Folks, please share the video. Thank you.